welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest relating, dating, and sex coach who helps successful professionals and entrepreneurs create the relationships, intimacy, and sex they actually want, not the relationship they accidentally tolerate. And of course, the author of the book, A Creationships. Inception, other than Mr. Louis Brantmeye.
It's good to be here.
Welcome, welcome, Mr. Louise. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Oh man, yeah. So I grew up socially awkward, anxious, introverted, diagnosed with autism. So it was not inevitable that I was going to become a relationship coach, much less have a functioning, thriving relationship, ever have sex, ever have dates. Every ounce of skill that I have as a social being had to be built over time through obsession, through devotion, through cultivation, and mostly through lots of investments of energy, of time. And somewhere along that path, I realized, oh my gosh, I kind of overshot the mark. And there are probably other people who can benefit from this. And I just love talking about it. So that was about 9 years ago when I made that decision. And yeah, after lots of workshops and training and travel and writing, as you can see, that's me. That's what I'm up to.
Yes, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Mr. Louise. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The title combined creation and relationship into creationship. Can you unpack these central concept? How is the creationship fundamentally different from a traditional partnership?
Yeah, so the idea of the book's title is that it is like the film Inception, which is a favorite of mine, implantation of a new idea in the mind of the reader, who, as they read through my story, which is a true story, a real thing that happened to me, one of my past relationships, they'll be left with this idea of a relationship that's about more than just itself. Now, most people in relationships are two egos looking to jerk each other off for pleasure, attention, significance, feeling better about themselves than they would on their own. And a creationship opens the relationship so that it's not polyamorously open, but rather open towards having an impact on others. We include the rest of the world in our relationship to the degree that we're looking not just to benefit you and me, if I were with a partner, for example, but to have what we're up to benefit everyone who we encounter.
You boldly link polyamory, entrepreneurship, and cultist experience. What is the connective thread you see running through these three seemingly disparate realms?
For sure. My own life experience. Very simple. At the
Okay.
time of the relationship, I was and still am an entrepreneur, and that has a weight and an impact on relating that I haven't seen often or most effectively addressed in the relationship space. There are no products or programs that I'm aware of specifically targeting or supporting entrepreneurs to deal with relationships from the place of being full time in that game. And they probably exist, it's just I haven't seen them yet. Polyamory is what I was practicing when I was initially starting off in the relationship in the book, and then I spent 4 months living at a self-sustainable off-grid village in Costa Rica, a spiritual community, kind of a Gnostic Christian Course in Miracles group that was cult-ish, not a cult. I love those people, they're great, they're still around, having huge benefits for the people who are involved. But there were tendencies that I noticed that it was partially my intention to call out and shake loose through distinguishing that community as such in the book and in the title.
The word cultist is provocative. What specific aspect of your experience felt cultist, and how do you differentiate between harmful cult and tightly knit, mission-driven community?
Good question. So, culture is also a cult. It's just a matter of intensity and degree, right? So, we're domesticated and programmed by preachers, teachers, family, friends, media, and government to follow a blueprint, to pursue certain things. And that blueprint wasn't built by us, it wasn't built for us, and it's not going to fulfill us. Not until we question it to see what in it is authentic for us and how can we reshape or let go of what in it is not authentic to us so that we can create a life that is suited for us. Now, that's the much larger frame through which I examine the question of cults as a philosopher, as a teacher, as a coach. Um, in particular, for this organization, it was so that there's several features anthropologically of a more traditional, like high control group, is one of the other phrases thrown around. And one of them is a charismatic leader who claims to speak for God. Another feature is powerful processes for changing the identity or transforming one's sense of oneself. The third feature that was not present in this community and still is not is a demand for abdication of critical thinking and intellectual questioning. At every awakened spiritual gathering on Sunday mornings, my friend John, who runs the organization, who founded it based on his visions and mystical experiences, says, "Don't believe it just because I say it. Test it
Hmm.
out, try it out. If it works for you, eat the seeds and enjoy the fruit. But if it doesn't, then let it go." And what I noticed when I was there in the community was that because of those first two tendencies, I was myself choosing to abdicate the third, the critical thinking, and to not exercise my sovereignty in certain situations or to exercise my boundaries in certain ways in certain times that would have really benefited me. So it was only in retrospect that I discerned this for myself. No one can take your free will from you, but there are certain tendencies in communities, in society at large, that lead to people being liable for that kind of behavior. And the conversation of where free will ends and where social influence begins is another inquiry that the book kind of delves into.
Interesting, Mr. Louise, on polyamory and conscious relating. In the context of these areas of life, what does conscious relating mean to you beyond just communication and agreements? What unconscious patterns do you have to confront?
Yeah, this is a great question. So it appears without, though it is within. And what I mean by that is we go where we live emotionally and we use our environment to get us there and the people in it. So we choreograph and, as it were, hire actors in a play of our subconscious mind's making. And as Carl Jung said, until we make what is unconscious conscious, the outer world will rule our lives and we will call it fate. So you look at people who are in relationships where they're experiencing abuse emotionally or even physically. Love doesn't come from people, it comes through people when you tune to it. Where do you tune to it? Inside of you. How do you tune to it? Well, we're not here to feel happy, we're here to feel fully. And once we feel fully, whatever we haven't felt, that we've been holding on to, that we've been withholding inside of ourselves, trauma, resistance, judgment, then until and unless we deal with that, it'll come back at us through our partners. They will be our mirrors and they will be our chefs serving up the meals that are comfortable and familiar to us, even if they're dysfunctional. So just like love doesn't come from people, it comes through people when you tune to it. So also does abuse come through people when you tune to it, which is kind of a tricky thing to say because people love walking around as a victim to their experience. They love walking around saying, he did this thing to me. He's bad and wrong. I judge him. Or she broke up with me and she treated me like crap for a whole year. And I won't say that I myself haven't fallen prey to the tendency of human nature to outsource codependently our power to someone else by saying, all right, well, they have power over me. I can't be loved because of how they're showing up in this relationship or in my life. I can't be abundant or whatever. And I tell people codependence is buying the lie and the delusion and the illusion that you are the bitch of the external world, which usually ruffles some feathers because they're like, wait a second, I'm nobody's bitch, which is the point. That's the point. And most people in the domestication of codependence, they buy certain lies which straitjacket them, which put them in a Chinese finger trap. And they're like, well, I need this person to show up in some way in order for me to be okay. And I'm here to say that's not the way to play. So
Yes, indeed. And tell us, how did the dynamics of multiple romantic relationships directly influence or mirror the dynamics within your entrepreneurial ventures?
it's an interesting question. I've never actually asked that particular question. And what I'll say is polyamory in the title is, which I imagine is what you're pointing to. It, it's a cautionary tale. Most people who practice polyamory or open relating, I would say, are asleep at the wheel of their attachment circuitry and their disempowered subconscious patterns. One of my mentors, he put it this simply. He said, if one person is not good enough to make you feel worthy, why do you think two people will be?
Mm,
And that's
yeah,
because
so.
most people are using their external world and their partners to try to feel better about themselves. And it's like horse trading, it's like prostitution, and people pleasing comes about profoundly easily in the face of that, where someone will wear a mask to hide what they don't want to be seen as so that they can look good, avoid looking bad, and extract whatever nutrients they want from the person in front of them. And this goes counter to almost all of culture because we're trained to sit down, shut up, get the right answers, pay your taxes, get health insurance, and do what the police and the government and everyone tells you, right? And I'm not here to say that
Yes.
all government everywhere and all law enforcement everywhere is bad and wrong or unhelpful or unuseful. I'm here to say that the way in which we relate to our government, our community, our parents, our loved ones is generally pretty screwed up. And you can see 60% of marriages end in divorce. Most relationships end in breakup. So, like, one of my early solutions was to try to go polyamorous. That was before I realized that polyamory is what's called a avoidant deactivation strategy. So the avoidant nervous system thinks that it's going to get rejected and puts love at arm's length. So one way of doing that is when love comes strongly enough from one person and starts to crowd one out, and one starts to think, "Oh my gosh, this is at the subconscious level, they're about to reject me." They grab onto another partner, they pull that other partner close, so they don't have to let this love in fully. They have a spare, they have another channel, and this is what I've experienced in myself and from my partners in past polyamorous relationships, and I've been in many. I'd say at least three or four. And the one behind the book led to me having great pain because I deeply loved the partner who we thought we had clear agreements. And she basically slept with her former partner, the father of one of her children, and didn't tell me about it. And when I found out, it was like a punch to the gut. And I was like,
Uh-huh.
second, I thought we had planned on telling each other before doing anything like this. And she was, I mean, it was on me. I wasn't clear enough in disclosing my relationship boundaries or my needs or clarifying our agreements on the one hand. But on the other, like the emotional reality she was living from was such that she didn't have the awareness or resourcefulness to actually consider the impact that that would have on me.
Mr. Louise, as an author, what are your short term and long term goals?
Huh. Another good question. I'm always loving exploring different mediums. So, poetry, prose. I recently started to embark on screenplay writing. And actually, as of about 10 minutes before this call, well, I've still got to reread the very last page, but I was just finishing the final reread of my very first screenplay. And writing will never not. It will always be a part of my life. It will never not be something that I'm doing. I've been journaling since I was, let's see, 18 years old, and I've got probably 52, 53 journals sitting in my closet. At some point, an editor will go in there and review for the best nuggets, and I'll publish a book just based on those past writings. So I'd say my goal is just to enjoy the process of continuing to write, um, to make the biggest, deepest impact I can through my work, and to have fun with the process. I mean, this book happens to have become a bestseller in sacred sexuality and new age self help, but that was more a matter of good and clever and intelligent marketing than anything else. So if I wanted my next book to be a bestseller, I could do that. And really, short term, probably publishing or completing one major manuscript per year. And then long term, being able to live entirely off of money from the books that I write, that would be a fun goal.
Truly, truly a fun goal, Mr. Louise. And thank you for that goal and looking forward for more success. And good luck. Can you please recommend a book of books that influence your journey?
Oh, absolutely. Transformation Through Intimacy is one by Robert Augustus Masters, who's a somewhat controversial figure, but I like to play with controversy, as you can see from my cultish title. And he has a lot of wisdom when it comes to relationships. Um, his thinking was decisive for the tail end of this book. The Truth, an Uncomfortable Book About Relationships by Neil Strauss, is the quintessential classic of someone portraying their deepest, darkest shadow and villainy in service to the reader, coming to greater self awareness and capacity. And then finally, as challenging and difficult as it has been this year, I picked it up again after basically a challenge last year to start going through it. The Christian Bible, the Old Testament is
Christian
full of,
Bible.
yeah, it's full of gruesome, vicious, ongoing violence. But the New Testament is such a manual of love and kindness and compassion. And so, I've been doing my best to live by what were, by other names, over the past several years, Christian principles that are distinguishable throughout the New Testament, like integrity, like compassion, sensitivity, listening. And yet, for most of my adult life, I would have considered myself an atheist. I would have considered myself averse to religion or formalized spirituality. Not spiritual practice, but spirituality that is disseminated and distributed through large organizations or religious conversations. And so that last book weighs heavily on my mind. In fact, I recently finished a graphic novel version of the Bible called an epic or the Epic Bible. It's very entertaining. Then you get to the middle of the New Testament, then it's kind of weird reading theological treatises turned into comic book panels.
Thank you for that recommended book, Mr. Louise. And can you please give a piece of advice for those people out there who want to be like you?
Oh man. Stay humble. Do your best to be a contribution in all matters. Like add value no matter where you go, and especially in relationship. Um, if you can become a person of value, committed to incorporating the lightest version of this is incorporate other people in your calculations for what you're choosing to do. The highest version of this is come from love in all matters, and love is not this lovey-dovey release of neurochemicals that comes from limerence through early sex and relationship, or oh my gosh, someone pays attention to me and answers my texts every couple minutes. Like it's the choice, it's a decision. Love is an unconditional decision, or it's not love at all. It's a decision to grant space and being to the person in front of you in however they're showing up without judgment. Judgment is not the same as discernment, mind you. Discernment is noticing what doesn't work given what you're committed to. If someone reliably and consistently operates in a dysfunctional way, you have every right to discern that, draw a line, and walk away. But if someone is showing up as a human with their own faults, foibles, vices, failings, what I recommend is to love them and be loving with them, to grant them loving listening, to hold space for them as they move through this, which is not the same as heroically rescuing them in order to get significance and attention for saving them from a problem they could have solved themselves. No, it just means opening your heart as you relate. And then the best way to grant space and being is to allow yourself to be granted space and being by God, who I believe exists and who created us. And if we allow that in, we receive that fully, it then comes through us as an overflow to those around us. So the piece of advice is basically stay humble and be and practice love.
Thank you for that advice, Mr. Louise. And tell us, for someone intrigued by the idea of creationship, but wary of pitfalls you describe, what would be your first piece of foundational advice?
Yeah, so we generally, as humans, don't engage with difficult and challenging emotions effectively. And what I mean by that is we react instead of choosing our response. So, what we get to practice is beginning to register when we're experiencing something that's other than peace, love, and joy. Because if we're experiencing something other than peace, love, and joy, that means generally that we are in a lie, a delusion, an illusion, or a trauma. We're holding something from the past that we're bringing into the present, that we're framing our now and our future through, and that we're framing someone who we're relating to with. And then we blame them. It's like you go to shake someone's hand and they've got a splinter in their hand. And when you squeeze it, they blame you for the feeling of pain they get from the splinter they haven't removed yet.
That's the nature of people to blame others.
Yeah.
And Mr. Luis, having been through this, what is your relationship with words freedom and belonging now? Do they feel intention?
I'd say that I experience a great deal more freedom. The more I practice emotional intelligence, fitness, and alchemy, the more I notice what I'm feeling, the more I heal and deal with what I'm feeling, the more I take time out from my day on my breakthrough chair to just be with me and use what tools I have to process through me whatever might come up for me, the more joy and peace and love I experience, no matter what the circumstances. And you said freedom, and what was your second word?
Freedom and let's say freedom and belonging.
Belonging. Yes.
Yes.
That's really interesting. I'm still doing because the work never ends really if someone wants to thrive and flourish at their highest levels. And anything less than your highest choice is self-sabotage. So most people are going to sleep at the wheel in the face of, internal work that they could do that could bring more stuff through so that they could thrive even better. And so currently, I'm giving myself a deeper sense of and a deeper experience of belonging. The one for whom and with whom we belong most and best is us. And once we do that and contact that which is truly in us, the love that never leaves. Technically, I have a church where I guide people into visceral, live direct experience of that love that never leaves. It's called the church that never of the love that never leaves. And once they've contacted that, and it's not religion, it's not dogma, it's not like, oh, believe it because I say it. It's taste and see that the Lord is good. Like actually experience and plug in, like as if to an electrical socket to the peace, love, and joy that was always flowing through you. And then you can belong no matter what you're going to do, no matter who's around you, no matter how they respond or not.
Interesting. And Mr. Luis, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too, comedy 101 in third season, and my food 101 in sixth season too, geography 101, love letters, movie 101, music 101, our fourth season, science 101, sex 101 in its second season of my baby podcast, Law 101, Mental Health 101, and Bible Verses 101. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, ultimately, is this a cautionary tale, a blueprint, or philosophical memoir? What is the primary feeling about this advocacy, Mr. Louis?
I'd say it's all of the above.
It's all the above. Yes. Definitely. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge. Thank you. And hoping for and more advocacy like this to come. Even more empowering advocacy. Please invite the listeners to support and keep going right now. Like this to come. Hello, to my we are late. Well, my apologies. Yes, and Mr. Luis, can you please invite our listeners to support your book, your advocacy, or any projects that you're doing right now?
Absolutely. Go to awakenrelentlesslove.com, all lowercase, no spaces, AwakenRelentlesslove.com. And then you'll be able to attend for free our next upcoming Awaken Relentless Love and Partnerships Masterclass and make what I've been talking about real for you in your own experience.
A very real, authentic, genuine, right, Mr. Luis? Genuine, authentic. And yes, people, let's support Mr. Louis Brantmeye because if you support him, for sure, more and more empowering books like this, more and more empowering masterclass will rise, and for sure, more and more empowering advocacy will come. So, Mr. Louis, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, my friend. An honor to be here.
Likewise, more to come, people. See you soon. My apologies for the glitches, Mr. Louis. It happens all the time.